Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight on this edition of Conversations with Camden. Of course, if you're tuning in, you know what you're about to watch. This is Camden Military Academy, an all-male college prep boarding school in Camden, South Carolina. And even though we're all male, we have two ladies joining us tonight who I'll get to introduce themselves in just a moment. But this is going to kind of be a unique broadcast. There's no boys here tonight. This is more considered to be more of a parent-to-parent interaction. But if we do have students watching, feel free to ask questions. We definitely want this to be an interactive session and not just us talking. So feel free to post your questions all over social media. CMA parents or Camden parents. We will Camden parents, hashtag Camden parents, and we'll get those questions answered. Either I will answer or maybe even one of the moms here tonight will answer. So little background about CMA, again, in South Carolina. So thanks for watching from wherever you are. We have about 40 states and smaller number of countries this year, under 5 this year. Typically we have in double digits. But the guys that come to us typically are coming here either to improve academically or maybe just have a little bit of a behavior issue. Nothing serious, but maybe a lack of respect for authority, laziness, not doing what they're supposed to be doing at home, maybe making some poor friend choices, things like that. But we'll get into that a little bit later. All right, so I want to get to my guest tonight and let them introduce themselves. And Ms. Shemke, we'll start with you, if you will. Just kind of tell us your name, who's your son, and where are you from?
Hi, my name is Cheryl Shipke, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, and my son is Luke Shipke, and this is his first year at Camden.
All right. And then Ms. Brown, we will also get you to introduce yourself, and you're also muted, so remember to unmute.
Good evening. My name is Lolita Brown. My son's name is Andrew Tucker, and we are originally from New Jersey, Palmyra, but we're now relocated to Augusta, Georgia.
All right. So she's a Southerner now. All right. So we one thing about these ladies, the reason they're joining us tonight, their sons actually took part in an earlier YouTube live that we actually did 1 month ago today on February 22nd. And so their sons gave their answers, and now we're going to hear mom's answers to make sure they match up. So throughout the presentation tonight, we're going to play some clips of a prior YouTube live, which will feature their son, and then they'll be able to follow up on those topics. But again, remember to get your questions in, hashtag Camden Parents. Any of the social media platforms, you can type it in right here in the YouTube chat, and we'll get to as many questions as possible tonight. All right, so ladies, we want to start off just talking a little bit about, Camden, why Camden. So if you will, just kind of tell me briefly, why did you guys start initially thinking about maybe a military school or Camden in general? And Ms. Shimke, we'll start with you.
Oh, well, we started thinking about any military school, any other kind of schooling when our Luke's regular school just really wasn't working, and he was kind of falling between the cracks. And even with us being there all the time, we didn't have control over that. So we wanted to make sure that we got him on the right path. And so that got us looking, and we looked at a lot of different things. And then, I think the immediate was to, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? How do you get him somewhere quick? But the more you settle down and think about it, it got to be something that we really processed out and said, how would he excel best? And for him, he would excel with something that was positive and something that didn't have a derogative connotation to it, and something that would build him up and make him feel good about himself and make him feel like he was going towards something, pride. So, and that's why we chose Camden over the other programs that we looked at.
Great, thank you, Sharon. And Ms. Brown, why did you start looking for military school for Andrew?
Well, I started looking at the military school for Andrew mainly because of structure and academics. Andrew was being lost in the public school. And then when he gets home, and I'm like, Andrew, let's get your homework done. The homework was never done. And he would say, yes, mommy, I got the homework done. So when I basically came to Camden and visit Camden, and you guys says you have that study time for them in the evening where they can participate and do their homework, I was like, okay, I can deal with this because now I have somebody that can help me with that. And secondly, I'm not going to get all that phone call from the public school. I mean, I'm telling you, I was getting phone call about Andrew every single day.
Wow.
So it started me off looking, and then I was prior military, so I was more drawn to a military school. Not per se because he wasn't like a bad kid. It wasn't because of his behavior. It was more academic wise.
Right. And again, that's the majority of our guys, come to us and they're just, like I mentioned in the introduction, a little lazy, not doing as best they can. And then also maybe a class clown, cutting up, wanting to goof around a little too much. And then also tell the young men that apply is a lot of times girls are involved, which kind of leads to the class clown. You want to impress that girl, or, you want they're teenage boys, they're often have school about third or fourth on their list if we're lucky. There's usually other things that they're interested in at the time that kind of takes away from what should be the primary focus. So that's one reason that we remain all male here at CMA. Very fortunate to remain single gender. Now we want to take a look at a video. This is going to be this is going to be Miss Brown's son, Andrew, talking. So let's roll this first one here about public school.
I was at public school. I feel like I was more like a follower. I was just doing everything that was the, I guess, trend, you could say. But nowadays, I feel like it's better to make my own path in life, show people what's right from wrong. I don't know, really kind of gives you a kind of self-confidence.
All right. And so now we're going to listen to, we just heard from moms about, why Camden for them, but we want to hear from the boys as well. So watch these two short video.
Well, this place was recommended by a friend of my mother's. And so she got in touch with her, and then they talked about if this place would be a good match for me. And at first, when I came here, I was a little bit worried because I came here in 8th grade. I wasn't really worried about like people bothering me or anything because I already knew we would have TAC officers and people there to make sure that we are all right. So then I came here. I was just worried about being, I was a little homesick, but I eventually got over that because you make friends at the school. And so.
My parents had a few different schools in mind, but we chose Camden mainly for the fact that it was more military structured and it was not as much of a reform school. It was focused on academics and more structure instead of like reform, if you would say. So I think that's why my parents chose this school, but yeah.
All right. So welcome back. So these guys pretty much matched up with what mom said, needing more academics and things like that. So that's good to hear. Moms, I want to talk to you really quickly about your son and before Camden, as far as, I mentioned some distractions that he may have earlier, girls, video games, other things vying for his time. Did your son actually have those distractions, and have you seen those kind of go away, or what's been the change since being at Camden? And Ms. Brown, we'll start with you this time.
Yes, Andrew have all those distractions except for the girls. He didn't have the girls, but the video game, the laziness, didn't want to clean his room, didn't want to wash dishes, he just didn't want to do anything. And the first time he came back from Camden, Andrew was washing the dishes, helping me sweeping the house, doing all the stuff. His bedroom was all clean. I was like, oh my God, I'm taking a picture just so that I could show somebody how you came back behaving. It was refreshing to see him coming back to me like that.
Great. Ms. Shemke, how about you? Did Luke have any distractions prior to Camden? Has anything changed?
Well, he had a lot of distractions. He's quite affected by like social media. That seems to be his. And even though he didn't even have a phone, he hasn't had a phone for years. Somehow these kids figure out how to get phones, and we can get rid of them. They get Wi-Fi. They get, the computers are giving them, the school was giving them a laptop. So you just couldn't get the access away from him. And he was, yeah, I mean, all of the above plus. I mean, he's very much about being everybody's best friend. And so it was very important to him. Social media was a big deal for him. And that was a real problem because we all know how ugly social media can be with kids.
Yeah, and social media and computers and phones in general, we have a lot of families who contact us and say, look, my kid's addicted to this stuff. He's always snapping somebody, he's always, responding to text messages, things like that. And yeah, it can be overwhelming. Interestingly, we here the first 2 weeks at Camden Military every school year, we take the phones away. We do allow them to have phones throughout the year, but for the first 2 weeks, we take them away just to kind of get used to the system and adjust. And believe it or not, some of the guys don't even want the phone back at the end of the 2 weeks. They're like, this was stressing me out. They realize that they can function without social media, and they don't have to worry about what their friends are doing and all that. So very interesting. And then also I teach a digital marketing class here, and the kids in there, we talk a lot about social media advertising and things like that. They really have very little interest in it anymore. It's starting to kind of wean off. Now, I'm sure that's my small group of students at an all-male military boarding school that I'm talking to, but I like it to know that they actually can feel like they can step away from it, because I know many adults feel like they're just bombarded with it and can't step away from it. But while we're on distractions, we do have another video with Shimke and Tucker talking about distractions, so let's take a look at this one.
Well, before I came here, I was really distracted in school because of like the size of classes, especially because I get distracted pretty easily sometimes. So I really like the structure here because I'm more focused and like the teachers are more engaged with my day-to-day tasks. I feel like they kind of care more about it in a way. So that's a really nice thing about this.
It's basically you come right after dinner and you get started on study hall. Study hall is a period where you can sit down, no distractions, it's completely quiet, do your homework, get everything you need to get done. Whenever you were back at home, you may have had distractions to where you couldn't really do your homework properly and you would just forget about it. This, you have to do it.
All right, so welcome back. Again, I talked about the distractions, and Ms. Shimke, it just hit me. You said that Luke didn't have a phone. Does he have a phone yet? Does he have one here?
We finally gave him a phone for Christmas. He got a phone.
So he earned it.
He did. And one thing I like to say, we talk about distractions in school and performing. One of the things that I found was Luke we didn't feel like Luke was really being challenged by the school. And so when it's that easy, they don't put any time into it like most kids, right? But what I will say is his last semester in public school, he did fail. And that was the only semester he ever failed. He was always passing, but he failed because he had finally hit that point where he went off the edge and he failed for the very first time. He went to Camden. He's been at Camden less than a year. He made National Honor Society. He's straight A's. I mean, I couldn't be more proud.
It's great. Yeah, I was kind of asking that as a selfish reason because he's actually up for a leadership position next year, which is S5 recruiting, and he needs to have a phone. So I wanted to make sure that you guys were going to cave in and get him a phone if he didn't have one.
No, right. He has a phone now. He doesn't use it all the time. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
He's very disciplined with it. He was never that way before.
And that's kind of our philosophy with the phones here at CMA is, the phones are going to be here, whether you're with us for 1 year or 5 years. When you leave us, the phones are going to still be there. All the technology is still going to be there. So we want you to learn how to use it responsibly while you're with us. So hopefully when you go out into the world, you continue to have that discipline and know when to use it. Because, I remember actually Shimke saying something on the previous YouTube live. Luke said something like, there's a time and place for everything. And that's exactly right. He nailed it. And, we didn't prompt him with that. So that's something that he's definitely learned or heard from enough people that it has sunk in. So that's a good thing. All right, so we're going to kind of pivot a little bit. And I do want to remind all of our viewers, though, get those questions in, hashtag Camden Parents. If you put that anywhere on social media, we'll find the question and get it posed to these women tonight. And we did have a question come in. Do you take troubled kids? So I always have to answer this question with what's your definition of troubled? You know, if your definition of troubled, or I have bad kids, do you take bad kids sometimes? It depends on your definition. You know, for some parents, bad is not cleaning their room, talking back, you know, making B's in school. For other parents, it's just plain academics. You know, he's making C's and that's not acceptable. The kids we don't take though are the ones who, you know, are in jail, have been in rehab. That's too much for us. We do not have a therapeutic setting or anything like that. And those are kids that we just feel like we can't help. We don't have all the tools and resources here. The guys that we take, you know, maybe have made some bonehead decisions, stumped their toe. And as one of the moms said just a moment ago, you know, they have failed and maybe are getting a little frustrated. Maybe their self-confidence is, you know, starting to go down. And so we're here to kind of let them experience success again and make them feel good about themselves and develop some pride and some, you know, just build up self-confidence. And so, yeah, so do we take bad kids? It depends on your definition. But yeah, I mean, we take typical teenage boys. So when someone says, what kind of kid goes to your school? I say probably the same kind of kids that go to school with your son now. You know, it's just there's 300 from all over versus being the same neighborhood, same community. So, all right, we're going to talk about first impressions of the school because, you know, military school for a lot of families it's a pretty big deal. And, you know, for a lot of young men, when they first join military school, they're thinking, oh no, you know, mom and dad's trying to kill me. They don't love me anymore, you know, whatever. But they boys usually envision boot camp and things like that. And when they get here, they realize, of course, that's not what it is. But I'd like to ask you, moms, you know, when you first, and I know Ms. Shemke, for example, you didn't even see the campus. So I think I'll start with you. You know, when you finally got here and you dropped Luke off and you were able to kind of see the campus and meet some people, what were your first impressions?
Oh, I thought it was a fabulous campus. I just felt like it wasn't, I'm ex-military. My husband and I both are. So I was very familiar with military and I didn't feel like it had that rigid feeling. But it had a very structured feeling. I felt like the campus was just outstanding with being able to have a lot of space, a lot of open air, you know, and the classrooms were nice. But I think it was everything that I thought it would be because I could see, I remember when we showed up, I embarrassed the heck out of Luke because there were a few boys walking on the road there. And of course, you know, I'm just excited. I was like, so how long have you guys been here? You know, trying to talk to the boys. He's like, stop, mom, you know, and they were all very excited and they had positive things to say. And I thought, and you could see that they had a camaraderie already within their small group and they were returning there together. And, you know, that's all you can hope for because that's not what Luke had at home. It wasn't that kind of camaraderie, that positive, that something that, you know, you ate to come back to, right? So I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a really, really nice campus. So
Great. Thank you. Yeah. And I often tell families, you know, all of our facilities are nice, but it's not a country club. So if you're looking for a country club type school, it's not, you know, posh. The Jenners would not stay in our barracks probably, you know, but, you know, if we have what you need, it's very adequate and comfortable for the young men. But Ms. Brown, your turn. I know that you actually did come to an open house, I believe, and see the campus. So if you will, just kind of share your first impressions.
I actually didn't come to an open house. I actually called and asked, could I visit the campus? And
Gotcha.
and you guys says, yes, you're welcome to visit.
That was
So
pre-COVID.
it was pre-COVID.
Yes.
So I came down and there was a young man who he was so excited to take us around and show us all the campus, tell us about the campus. And I'm pondering, I'm like, okay, should I send him? But the thing why I choose to send him to the summer program, because I wanted his buy-in. I didn't want him to feel like I was forcing him to do anything. So I use a little psychological stuff with him. I'm like, okay, you can go there for the summer and try to have fun when you go. And when he came back home and he says, okay, mommy, I want to go. I'm like, yes. So now I don't have to force him or try to do anything because he was willing to go.
Right. And that's a
And, you know,
big deal.
everybody was so open, they were so transparent. And I tell people all the time about Sergeant Collins. He was so open, down to earth. He let me know we'll take care of him when he got here. Don't worry about him. We'll take care of him. And that actually put me at ease, because here's an adult telling me, I'll take care of your son. You don't find that too many places, that somebody tell you, I'm going to take care of your son. In America, people are so busy, they're not paying attention. So Camden is like a community. It's like a home away from home.
Great point. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, we've have a lot of families who visit lots of different schools, and have lots of schools to consider when making a big decision like this. And a lot of people come back to us kind of for that reason. They are very big on our family oriented campus atmosphere that we have here. So yeah, I think it does make a big difference. Yes, we're a military school and we have the structure and regimen, but it's not to where we are a boot camp. It's not where they're out digging ditches and things like that. So we actually care about the students. We have a relationship with them. There's several of us, staff and faculty, that live here on campus, and we interact with the guys all the time. Yesterday, very busy campus. We had a baseball game going on, 2 soccer games going on. So myself and the headmaster and others were all out, going to all the different games, and actually our sports, I think, all won yesterday, which was awesome. So, yeah, we had a really good day. And, but yeah, so, we do develop bonds with these guys, and it's fun to hear back from them later in the future, after they've graduated and they're starting to get married and have kids, and they might even name a kid after a TAC officer. That's happened before, things like that. So it's really cool to see those relationships develop and grow and maintain throughout the years. All right, we have some questions coming in, lots of questions coming in. So let me get over here to these. What other electronics can boys have besides phones? So they can pretty much bring, video games. Now, we do not have Wi-Fi in the barracks. So they only have Wi-Fi in the public spaces. Parents can provide a cell phone, with a data plan. We don't necessarily encourage it, but we don't necessarily discourage it. It's, if parents are worried about where you're going on the internet, just don't send them a data plan, or at least have some type of parental control on it. But all of our public Wi-Fi spots are, monitored, filtered, all that. So we'll take care of that. Will tuition be discussed, or any possible financial aid? Absolutely. We'll talk about tuition right now. Camden Military is one of the most affordable military schools in the country. So I don't know if these moms actually looked into that part or not when they were researching, but we are, based on our location. The cost of living is a little bit less here in South Carolina than other parts of the country. And also, we have no debt. So everything here at Camden is paid for. We don't build a building without already having money in the bank. So that's allowed us to keep the tuition affordable for families. For a first-year student, you're looking at about $29,000, $30,000. And I don't know, that's a lot of money, but it is, think about it. He's here for 9 months. We're paying the electricity bills, the lights he lives on at home. We're feeding teenage boys, they eat a lot. So, when you put it in, there's some day schools in some cities that are much more than our boarding year-long tuition. So there is a possibility for financial aid. We have some in-house financial aid where you can apply and get up to 30% off of the tuition. Now, that's based on need for all first-year students, and for returning students, it's a combination of need and merit. So, how are they here at Camden? Are they good at sports? Are they good in the classroom? Are they a good leader, good in the military program, whatnot? So there is that possibility to get some taken off of the tuition. All right, another question. What supports do you have for boys with ADHD? So we have a number of guys here. About a third of our new students each year come in with a diagnosis of either ADD or ADHD. And then we have other learning challenges thrown in there, like dyslexia and CAPD and spectrum disorder, things like that. So yes, we have supports, but we don't have all of the therapeutic services that you could find in a public school. Now, by that, I mean, we have small classes, we have individual attention. He can get extra time on test. He can, take notes on the computer versus writing, things like that. But we're not going to have your occupational therapy, your speech therapies, things like that here on campus. So, but yeah, so if you have a typical 504 or an IEP in a public school, we're going to probably already meet or exceed the goals and objectives that are listed, on those documents. So pretty much what we do every day is kind of tailor-made for an ADD or ADHD student, as I think most men are a little ADD anyway, at least ADD, if not ADHD. All right, so I want to get back to the moms and just ask you about some concerns. I mean, it was a big deal sending your baby off, I'm sure, to a military school. And Miss Brown, you kind of alluded to it earlier. You dropped them off and met First Sergeant Collins. But, on the drive up here, or when you were making the decision, what was some of the concerns you had? And did any of them play out and come true, or did you kind of change your mind and relax? And we'll start with you, Miss Brown.
Actually, my biggest concern is I'm a healthcare provider. So my biggest concern is always about health. What if something happened? I'm far away. And I have to tell you, something did happen. He was on the football field playing and he became short of breath. And you guys took him to the nurse and took him to the doctor. And they actually found out that he had his pulmonary artery was enlarged. So being a healthcare provider, I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. It's not what they're saying. He's too young. The lab work is not matching up. So I brought him home and took him to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And then we found out he had a hole in his heart, a huge hole in his heart. Not only did he have a huge hole in his heart, but his vein and his arteries were they were transverse. So basically, had it not been for Camden attentiveness, because Andrew has been playing football from a little child, and he would complain that he have short of breath, but it goes away. His doctor never heard a murmur, nobody. But because with the pollen and everything going on down there, they did hear the murmur and was able to identify that something was wrong. But not only did you guys send him back home for me to take him and have the surgery, but you supported me during the time that he was there. He was going through the surgery. I have many of the teachers call and said, well, Andrew didn't do his homework. They talked to him on the phone when they find out what was going on, and they were able to help him through that. And it was right around the COVID time. So we were all stressed about the whole situation. And when he came back to school, he couldn't put any bag on his back and he couldn't do anything. And I got to tell you, I give kudos to the nurses that worked there, because they kept me informed. The TAC kept me informed. Everybody kept me informed. So do I have regrets sending Andrew? I always say to people, and I'm going to use this term, Camden is the shits, not meaning rude word. I just have an acronym for Camden. Okay. I said they're very supportive. They're honest. And I just go down and tell people how I feel about Camden. Had I have to do it over again? No, I would never change Camden, because you guys saved my son's life.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Now I'm going to have to use that tagline in my marketing. So I'm going to steal that from you. All right.
I'll email you and let you know what it means, what all of
Okay.
it means.
And Ms. Simke, how about you? Did you have any concerns prior to Camden, and did they pan out, or are you okay with everything?
Yeah, I had some concerns prior to Camden. I mean, if I'm being quite honest, he was just in a really bad mental place. I feel like, he was coming out of COVID. Like I said, he'd taken a really bad downturn and things were rapidly accelerating. And so, I mean, would this push him over that edge? Or would this be what he needed to help prop him up and bring him back, right? So I had genuine concerns, but that's why I chose Camden, because I felt like they were the ones that were going to be there and were going to be supportive and hold him accountable, but give him the gentle support that he needs to know that he's a kid, he's going to make mistakes. He can be himself and he can be liked for who he is. He doesn't have to be anybody other than who he is. And to really be able to develop real relationships and and some confidence in himself and begin to love himself and know what he's capable of. And I feel like that's, so I felt like I knew what Camden would do for him. He didn't. But I definitely knew what Camden was going to do for him. And it's done everything that we could possibly, that I just said. It's done all that. And we're only, like I said, it was August when he went. We're not even a year into this. So we're still he's only been home once. And in that time, things were shaky, but he came back and he held his own and he held strong, and every time it's going to get that much more ingrained in him. And it's just, it's been everything I wanted it to be and everything I knew it could be. And he now believes the same. So I wouldn't change a thing either.
That's awesome. And then just that's a great segue you gave us there to our next video. Actually, we were going to talk about is actually Luke talking about how when he first got here, he had some people that actually had his back and, you know, helped him kind of get used to the place. So let's take a look at that video real quick.
Yeah, whenever I first came here, I was dealing with some troubles back at home. I had some regrets, and I went to people that I just didn't even know. Thompson helped me out a good bit.
yeah.
I talked to him. I talked to him about some of my problems, and yeah, he helped me work through that type of stuff. So it's like you can have a sense of trust. You know who to trust as soon as you get here. Like, you know that they will always have your back, and that's still true today. They still have my back on everything. So
Yeah.
When
All right. So thank you for watching, and just want to remind all the viewers out there, if you have questions, please use the hashtag Camden Parents, and we're looking for those on all of our social media platforms as well as there in the YouTube chat. So feel free to ask any question, no questions off the table, and we'll get to many as possible tonight. So I want to go to that right now, go to the monitor over here. What about kids with mental health issues? Yeah, we do have some guys here who see psychiatrists or therapists, counselors, and we don't have a program here on campus, so we don't have any licensed counselors here. We do have a full-time chaplain that will meet with the students if they're going through something, but we will arrange times for students to go off campus now that COVID is over, well, at least relenting a little bit. And we do have a lot of students that actually Zoom or use some type of virtual platform to meet with their therapist. So if they have one back at home that they really like or something like that, that relationship can be maintained. So yeah, that's something that we do. It's just not something that Camden offers as a service. Okay, and then the next question: are kids housed by age, and how many roommates in a room? Good questions. Yeah, so there are 2 boys in each room. Typically, we do have like 2 3-man rooms in each building, but those are reserved for returning students. So after they've already have met the guys and became friends, but all the new students we put in with one other student who's no more than 1 year difference in age, so approximately their own age, and again, just 2 boys per room. How does the school deal with picky eaters? That's a good one. You know, how's the food at Camden is a question I always get. And, you know, the food is good. It's not a 5-star gourmet experience, but, you know, it's a lot better than public school food. You know, all of it is prepared here on campus in our kitchen. And so it's fresh, it's hot. You know, it's a variety. We also have a cadet dining council that gets to give some input on things that the boys want to see more of, and then dishes that they don't ever want to see again. You know, so it's a nice variety. They mix it up pretty well. So picky eaters, you know, if you don't like what's on the table, we have options. You can get a sandwich, you can get salads, you know, things like that. So there's usually something for everyone in there. But then also after school, we have a snack bar in the Carlisle House where you have opportunity to buy things, you know, chips, candy, ice cream. We have Chick-fil-A in there. We have Popeye's chicken one day. We have Burger King, you know, so the junk food stuff. So that kids also can keep snacks in their rooms. So we ask parents to make sure they keep the care packages coming in throughout the year, because, you know, the guys get really excited when they get a care package. But you want to make sure you send enough to share, because when the student gets a care package, he becomes the most popular guy in the hall, you know. So if you're going to send brownies, make sure you send enough for everybody. All right. And then let's see, what kind of help do students get when they struggle in class as far as homework or a test? That is kind of our forte. That's what we would like to talk a lot about. You know, we give grades every 2 weeks. So I know right now at home, a lot of parents have parent portals that can go on and see what the grades are and kind of micromanage what he's doing. Well, not here. Part of being at Camden is a chance to let go and cut the umbilical cord and let him be his own man, let him accept the responsibility for worrying about his grades. So mom and dad don't have to do that. You know, in the past, I've had mom and dads tell me that, Mr. Robinson, I know that he did the science project because I did it for him. He just didn't turn it in. Or, you know, I know he wrote the paper because I wrote it for him, but he just didn't turn it in. You know, those are things that we don't have to worry about anymore, because here we have an hour and a half of mandatory study hall each evening. Homework is going to be checked daily. One other big benefit besides the 2-week grades that we give the students, so they'll know exactly where they stand, is just being able to go into tutorials. So if a student has, lower grades, it's mandatory for him to attend tutorials that we have built into our school day. If he's making D's and F's, then he's going to get the tutorials, but he's also going to get the learning center, which is another hour of tutoring after school. So there's lots of safety nets there for the young men. But I think a lot of these guys, once they do what they're supposed to be doing, by that I mean participating in class, being in a small class where they can actually interact with the teacher, and they're doing their homework every night, grades go up. Guys tell us, school's a little easier here. Well, it's not that the curriculum's any less challenging. It's that they're finally doing what they're supposed to do for a change. And so, it does get a little easier. And then, of course, the A's start to come up, and again, self-confidence, the whole attitude about school changes, which is a good thing to see. So thanks for that question. All right, got one more question here we'll get to. What kind of help is there for kids that have struggled with making friends? That's interesting because, I've been here for 24 years and really have not ever seen a student struggle with making friends. This is a tight brotherhood that we have. And these guys accept everyone. That there's really no cliques on campus. I typically would throw it out to the moms and say, hey, have you noticed that? But due to COVID, parents haven't been allowed to visit as much. And so they haven't really been able to experience that yet. But, one thing I like about these guys is they all tend to get along. There's one story I want to share from a few years back. There was a Spartan Challenge, which is like a big field day. We allow guys to use body paint and, kind of go crazy. And it's celebrating the culmination of their first 3 weeks at military school. So basically, I survived, they didn't kill me, and I actually like it. So we're going to have fun today. So we did that. And we had a new student that actually started in the middle of that Spartan Challenge. And I thought, this is not going to be good because they're going to be zeroed in, laser focused, trying to do their challenges and obstacle courses and all that. Well, I brought the student out and I was like, hey, this is Cadet Parker. He's a new student and he's in B company. So you guys, here he is. And the company commander stood up and said, what's your first name? And the guy said, whatever it was, Mitch. And he was like, okay, Mitch, you want to bust down? I get in here and get busy, and he fell right in, and there was no ostracizing him or anything for being the late new boy coming in. And we've had students with been on the spectrum, even diagnosed with Asperger's, and, they still have friends. And the younger guys, sometimes parents are really nervous about 7th and 8th grade students. They're treated like the little brothers, so they kind of get the arm put around them and say, hey, come on, I'll show you how to do this, kind of thing. So these guys, it's a brotherhood that they all really look after each other, and which is a good thing. All right, Mom, we want to talk to you again and talk about some lessons that maybe your son has learned. I know you've only seen him, at the Thanksgiving and Christmas break, but and Luke's only been here a little bit. But Ms. Brown, what's a valuable lesson that you feel like Andrew learned since being here at Camden?
I actually think Andrew learned about leadership. Prior to Andrew coming to CMA, Andrew was more like a follower. And when Andrew came back to me, I sent to you a boy and I got back a man with confidence, with integrity. Because let me tell you, if lying was inherited, Andrew had it. Andrew know how you lie quickly and everything like that. Now Andrew come home and Andrew is accountable for his action. And that is a valuable lesson that he learned from you guys.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shimke, how about you?
I really think what I've noticed most about Luke is he's got a natural leadership knack. I think it's just ingrained in him. But what he did not have was any sense of commitment. And so it was frustrating. He was so good at so many things, but didn't commit to anything. And that was going to be his biggest challenge going to Camden. And I really feel like that's been his biggest lesson learned there. I mean, it was obvious the first couple of weeks because he was going to quit this, he was going to quit that. And, within the first month, I mean, everything's bad, going to quit this, and then things start to turn. And now all of a sudden, I mean, he even joined book club and said it was one of his favorite clubs. And what? So, but it was because he started figuring out that when you commit to things, there's great rewards to that, but he's always been about the immediate gratification, right? And so if he doesn't get it immediately, he's out. That's it. It doesn't matter how good he is at it. If he's got that natural knack, he's out. He's not spending his time on it. It's all about that immediate gratification. And I knew that when Camden wasn't going to give into that, you know. There's a lot of people who don't know him that will give into that because he's good at it. But I knew he wasn't going to get Camden by on that. So that's been, to me, that has been his greatest lesson. And it's still his greatest hurdle to overcome. I mean, that's just a part of maturing too, you know. So yeah, that to me has been his greatest you know, change. This most significant change in him is he now commits to things and he sticks to them. And you know, just like Lolita said, when he came home the first time, he did dishes, he cleaned his room, he did all these things. He was active in the household. They were like, now, as soon as he walked out the house, who knows, but that was always, you know, but he always made sure he held tight on everything he committed to. Before, it was just words, empty words. And no more empty words. He doesn't do empty words anymore. So we're still, you know, again, I think that this is something that's not a lesson learned overnight, but it's every day we're one step closer to this being a permanent change, which is really nice.
Fantastic. All right, we have a video about valuable lessons. So let's see what the guys had to say about a valuable lesson they learned.
Valuable lesson for me I learned here is just, you know, to really just think for yourself. Honestly, you can't always just go off of what one person is saying. You could always think for yourself. You know, it's not a bad thing necessarily to agree with someone. You can, you know, especially people that are like wiser than you or much older than you, like here, like the tax, they always have great advice. And it's just one thing I've learned is just to take advice from wise people. That's it.
So by far the biggest thing I've learned here is time and a place for everything.
Okay, so welcome back. Again, want to remind all of our viewers to submit questions using the hashtag Camden Parents. And again, those questions can be posted anywhere on social media and also put into the YouTube chat. And we do have some questions over here on the monitor that I want to get to quickly. And the first one is, can you talk a little about the adjustment to academy life and how long is the typical adjustment to becoming acclimated to the rules of the academy? Yeah, I think we kind of touched on that a few moments ago. You know, it takes these guys, it's not an overnight, oh boy, I love Camden, but it does take a good 2 or 3 weeks for the guys to kind of get used to things. You know, I think one of the moms said earlier, you know, the first month was pretty tough, and it is for most guys. And I don't think it's so much getting used to the rules as it is a culture shock, you know, because at home they kind of got to do what they wanted to do, and they knew how to push buttons on mom and dad and pull the emotional strings and all that. Where, you know, here we have that remote control and we're mashing the buttons and pulling the strings and things. And for a lot of guys, that's new. That's a little scary for them. But yeah, I mean, for the guys to start feeling better about the school, 2 to 3 weeks, you know, usually by the time they go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, parents start noticing the big changes. And, you know, they're like, oh, okay. And then they're realizing the boys may not say, oh, mom, I love Camden, but they're not saying, I don't want to go back. Most of them are saying, I want to go back, or I can't wait to get back. And they're talking about friends that they've made or missed and things like that, which is always, you know, good to hear. All right. Do students attend religious services, and would it be difficult for a Jewish child in the environment? We do have mandatory church attendance for our Christian students on Sunday morning. All of our non-Christians do not have to participate in the service. They can study their doctrine during that time. But no, we've had Jewish students attend throughout the years without any problem. We have a small Jewish community here in Camden, and also we partner with the Jewish community over in Columbia, which is only about 30 minutes away from the school. And last question here, for students starting in the fall, can they attend summer session? Absolutely. And I think Ms. Brown's son did that prior. A lot of our families will actually use the summer program as a springboard into the fall. It kind of, you know, it lets the boy know, hey, is this a good idea for me? Am I going to fit in? Can I make friends? You know, is it really a boot camp? They're just telling me it's not. And that gives the boy an opportunity to come in and make friends too. So when it comes back in the fall, everything is not brand new because we have the same teachers that are here. in the summer that are here during the school year. We have the same TAC officers in the summer that's here during the school year. So, it gives them an opportunity to really meet some new students who may be coming in. Typically, we do not have a lot of our own cadets attend the summer program. It's students that are in public school or, just again, trying us out for the summer to see if it's a good fit for the fall. Ms. Brown, do you have anything to add? Do you think the summer program was a good idea leading into the school year?
I actually think the summer program was excellent because it's not only give him an idea of what the school was, it gave me a feel of letting go of because I sent him away. I think the program was for 3 weeks. I sent him to, you can be more, longer than 3 weeks, but I took 3 weeks, and it gave me a chance to let go and see how I would feel emotionally. And when he came back and I saw that he came back with a positive attitude, that was all I needed.
Great. All right. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Oh, we got another question just came in. I'll get this one and then our screen will be clear. My son is in Beta Club and Gifted and Talented. Would he be able to continue these clubs at Camden? Yeah, so we have an honors program as well as a AP and college level courses that they can take. We have a National Honor Society that he could become involved in. I think Luke is maybe in that. I'm not sure about Andrew. I can't remember everyone off the top of my head. But there's lots of opportunities that we have for our students who are gifted and talented. Yes, ma'am. All right. Now, Mom, we've talked a lot about changes you've seen in your sons and things like that, but has the relationship or the dynamic in the household actually changed? Is it, a lot of parents have described to me in the past that it feels like the stress has just kind of been sucked out of the house. The tension is gone. And just wondering if you guys have experienced any of that. And Ms. Shimke, we'll start with you.
I sleep again. Yeah, it was real bad. We were a very fractured family, and we have another teenager and they're just a year apart, and very different experiences, different schools, just a lot of differences in the experiences they were having. And we have a very fractured home. And I think that, this has got us on the road of being able to come together as a family again, because that was certainly in jeopardy.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Brown, will give you the same opportunity.
Well, with Andrew, as I said before, Andrew wasn't actually behavioral. We were more, I think what I did for Andrew, I was more making Andrew, I was making him anxious. I was releasing my anxiety on him. So he didn't have no confidence in himself. And I realized that's what I was doing to him. Because if anything happened to me in my relationship, I come home and I bring that angst home, and he picks it up and I transfer it to him. And, so once he come back home now, it's totally different. It's totally different. He'll tell me, Mommy, stop. It's not all that bad.
That's good. He has to set Mommy straight now. All right. I wanted to play a video about the boys, or especially I think it's Luke Shimke actually talking about how the relationships changed with his parents since being at Camden. Let's watch that.
Me and my parents' relationships were like that when I came here. So kind of button heads all the time about ideas that we wanted to get done and all that. The way I was behaving clearly was not helping, but ever since I came to Camden and I went home for winter break, it's like back to this, not this. So it's really helped my relationship with my parents, and I feel great. It was more of like a darker mood in the house whenever I was home in public school and behaving, not the best. But ever since I came home, they kind of got this aspect in me. They think that I have the quality of, a standard military cadet and all that, and more discipline, have the structure. My room was more clean whenever I go home, and it's not nasty. So it's a lot better vibe at my house, in my opinion. And I think my parents would say the same because, yeah, I mean, we talk more. I actually have a normal conversation with my parents, not just about, oh, my grades aren't where they need to be. And it's more than just, what am I doing wrong and what they wanted me. It's more like, what's going on today? And, how's what'd you do today? And I have a lot more freedom too. And I can go out for a good amount of time now. And I couldn't do that before because I was always getting punished for doing the wrong thing. So yeah, I think it's helped a lot, a lot.
All right. So Ms. Shimke, I think you guys agreed that things are improving. So I'm glad you can sleep again. All righty. Got some questions coming in. Let's go to those real quick. This is going to probably be the last time to submit questions. So if you have a burning question, please submit it right now at hashtag Camden Parents. Did you ever have a Muslim student attend CMA? Absolutely. Again, being such a diverse campus with students coming from all over the country and all over the world, we've had basically every religion imaginable here at Camden. The only two things you're not allowed to be here at Camden is atheist and agnostic. So if you come in and say, I don't believe, or my parents said, there's no God, we're going to say, well, not anymore. We're going to give you a list to choose from. Which denomination do you want to check out first? And, you can start your spiritual journey that way. What's the deadline to register for the summer program? There's no deadline. We take the first 120 students. We fill up 2 barracks for the summer, and that's it. So this year, the summer program is 3 weeks long, and all of our information is on camdenmilitary.com. Just go under summer programs, and it has the tuition as well as the application there. And is the summer program military? No, it is not. So the summer program is non-military. If you've not been to South Carolina before, it is hot in the summer. And so we're not going to make them wear uniforms. But they wear, they have to wear shorts that look nice. So we can't have cutoff shorts. You can't have shorts falling off your waist, things like that. But you have to have a nice haircut. You don't have to have a short haircut. If guys have, the man bun or whatever right now, they have to pull it back in pull it back in a ponytail or whatever, look nice throughout the day. Whereas you have to wear closed-toed shoes, so no flip-flops or, slides or anything like that. So there's a general look that you have to have, but not necessarily a uniform that you have to wear. All right, great questions. Okay, moms, I want to get back to you guys again. We're going to start wrapping it up. So I've got a couple closing questions for you before I let you go. I hadn't even eaten dinner yet. So if my wife is watching, now's the time to start cooking. All right. Let's talk about what's something that if you had the opportunity to tell another parent. So just imagine yourself when you were going through the decision-making process and you wish that some parent would have told you something about Camden. What's something you can share with maybe the parents that are watching tonight? And Ms. Brown, we'll start with you.
I would actually say to the parent, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Come and see for yourself. Be open-minded. And also, before you send your child there, just tape a conversation with you and your child so that it will give you a little comfort when you can't talk to them on the phone for that 3 weeks. You pull out your phone, you listen to their voice, you hear it, it calms you down a little bit, because that's what I did. And the school will also give you a phone call to let you know how the kids are doing. So basically you shouldn't have to worry. I'll tell you, if you don't come to Camden, if you can, and see, what Camden is like, you can also reach out to me. I'll talk to you about Camden. My son has been at Camden now for the past 3 years. And I have to say this, when Andrew went to Camden, Andrew totally failed 7th grade. I've never known somebody can fail a grade, but he failed 7th grade. And when he came to Camden, now he's A and B student. He's doing very well. So for me, as a parent, I will tell you, be open-minded, check it out yourself, do your research, because I did mine. And being in Jersey, there's like in Pennsylvania, they have a military school up there, and I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I can't pay this mortgage. So I look at I look at how much it costs also, and I'm like, okay, can I afford this? Can I do it? And I'm like, you know what? To prevent my kids from being in the prison system, I am going to pay this money. If I have to crawl to work every day, I'm going to pay this money. So it's going to be a sacrifice to you as a parent paying the money, but in the back end, you're gonna love it. You're gonna enjoy that. I'm telling you, you won't regret that you send your child there, because like I said before, I sent a boy to Camden Military Academy, and I got back a wonderful, wonderful, confident child with leadership. I'll tell you, don't not try to send him there. Review it for yourself before you decide not to send him.
Great, thank you. Ms. Shemsky, how about you? Any advice for prospective parent out there?
No, well, I mean, I guess the only advice I really have is to really think about what, how your kid's going to excel, know your kid. And, it's interesting because there's a lot of really good schools out there, a lot of private schools that I could have sent him to and paid twice as much in tuition and had him just down the road and home with me at night. But at the end of the day, that's not what he needed. He didn't need to be home with us at night. He was already there. That's where he didn't need to be in a program that was twice the cost where he was going to get lost just where he was already. He needed to be in a smaller environment that was going to give him a safe place to grow up, make mistakes, and learn who he is and learn to be proud of who he is. Learn to get that confidence in himself. His worth was tied to, I say this, kids, their worth is tied to how others see them. And so it's so important that they're not all strong enough internally to see that in themselves. So I just, I think that there's a lot of really good private schools out there, but it's a matter of what's going to be best for your kid, for your son, and knowing that, the environment they're in now and the environment that they'll excel in. So.
All right, great advice from both of you. All right, so we're going to wrap it up with one last question. But before we get to that question, one thing that we work on here with our young men, in addition to the structure and the routine and the time management organization, is gratitude and respect. And that's two big characteristics we want to instill in our young men. And during the last YouTube live, I told the two young men, Shemke and Miss Brown's son, to just look in the camera and talk to their parents. And this is what they had to say. Take a look.
I know the haircut, I know it's crazy, I know. But but yeah, I'm very glad that you sent me here. I've learned a lot from this place. I know you work very hard to send me here, and I think of you every day. I honestly, I'm just very glad that you sent me here. I've learned a lot. Thank you.
Good.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I think what I really want to say is this place saved our family. Me coming here saved our family. We were in a very bad spot before, but I feel like you guys should have done this sooner, to be honest. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, of course. I love you guys. I miss you guys. I hope to see you guys soon, but and again, I'm not really stressing it. Take it one day at a time. So love you guys.
All right, guys, to me, that's some pretty mature young men speaking there. And it's been a pleasure, getting to know them and watch them grow. And I can see the changes in them myself here on a daily basis. And so I want to give you the opportunity now, moms. I wanted to have your sons here tonight, but Andrew was at track and Shemke was baseball, so they're not here. So I'm going to play this back for them. So if you will, moms, just look into the camera and respond to that video you just watched from your son. Ms. Brown, we'll start with you.
Hi, Andrew. I'm always telling you how much I love you and miss you being at Camden. No, I don't care about your hair. What I care about is what inside your head. Your hair, it can always grow back. So don't worry about that. Okay. I know before you had this long hair down to your back. It can grow back, my son. Don't worry about that. It's very important for me to see you succeed in life and reach some place in life. So what you're doing right now is what I love for you to do. I am so happy you're there, and I'm happy to see the man that you're developing up to be. I pray and ask God that you will continue to believe in God, continue to have respect, continue to have courage, and just continue to be the lovely, wonderful son you are.
Fantastic. All right, Ms. Simke, your turn to speak to Luke. Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, Luke, I'm very proud of you, son. I know it's been a difficult conversion, a different kind of year for you, but you're all the better for it. And I see it every day when I talk to you. I hear it in your voice. And I'm just really proud of you, son. And I hope that you're proud of all that you've accomplished as well, because you've done so well, and we couldn't ask for more than the commitment that you've put in. So, and we're excited to see you at the end of the week. Love you,
Oh,
son.
yes. Spring break starts Friday, and the cadets think they're excited, but we're excited as well. That's what they don't understand. Listen, ladies, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully you've made some parents out there watching feel a lot better. And I certainly appreciate your time and everything that you shared with us. But just in closing, I want to remind everybody of a couple things. We do have an on-campus open house coming up because COVID is relenting, thank gosh. So we're going to have an open house this Saturday, March 26th at 9 a.m. So if you want to get here, you can fly in, spend the night before, and then be out here Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. We'll have an open house, should be done by noon. And then we're also going to have a couple of other ones coming up on May 14th, which is a Saturday, and then May 16th, which is a Monday. Both of those start at 9 a.m. as well. So if you can't make it for this Saturday, do plan to come visit in May or throughout the summer. All right. Thank you for watching this edition of Conversations with Camden, and we'll hope to see you here in Camden very soon. Have a good night.
Good night.